Hello everyone, this is Bobbin Threadbare, and welcome back to Sleeping Dogs. The main story is over, but we've still got two post-game DLCs to get through. The first of which being Nightmare in North Point. This one's a bit different, and in many ways it's non-canon, but, well, you'll understand once we get started. I mean, that text there kind of gives it away.
Guangxi, terror of the Far East, tormented in the underworld for thousands of years, feeding on nothing but their hatred, their bitterness, planning their revenge. When the gates of hell open, the Guangxi come forth, an undead army at their back and all of Hong Kong at their mercy.
That was the worst movie of all time. Who makes up this stuff?
Hey, Wei. Niece, don't make fun of the Guangxi. Night like this, they might be on their way.
Uncle Salty has a thing for the supernatural.
Don't Uncle Salty me. This is Hong Kong. Magic crawls through this town like maggots on month-old roadkill.
Uncle?
Well, you see any walking corpses, you give me a call.
Yeah, give him a call, asshole!
What the hell?
The gates of hell are open! And the Sun on you will pay for what they've done!
Stop! Hey, stop!
Hey, don't let him get away! I'm trying to head him off!
Well, shit. Now, this is an independent DLC, so they're...
Heard you were fast!
So it's explaining the controls again. You know, it's kind of easy to follow you when you leave those flaming footprints behind.
Get all you got, you son of ye shit!
Yeah, it is nice that they, right straight away, they bring back a couple of fan favorites.
You think you can chase me down? You're a joke, Shen!
With Not Ping and Old Salty Crab, who turn out to be related.
Persistent, aren't you? You don't know what's coming. I've had decades to plan. Decades!
I guess that's what happens when you catch up with him. You flinch back.
Hey! Wait, get me out of this thing! Get me out of this thing! This is just the start! I've waited 30 years for this. Let me down, damn it! Let me down!
Hey, it's the Guangxi,
No demons take...
or Jiangxi.
Hurry up!
That's the Cantonese and Mandarin pronunciations, respectively.
Wherever you are, you're gonna die.
I'm not gonna help you fight Modian demons!
By the way, you may have noticed, but taking down the Jiangxi requires a specific... Yeah, well, right there. The only way to destroy a Jiangxi is to grapple it when it is, Sure thing, Old Salty. But yeah, the only way to kill them, like, well, not the only way to kill them, but the fastest way to kill them is to stun them,
There he goes again! Get him! Get him!
and then grapple them while they're stunned.
You're not even close, Shen!
Dead body and sending them back from the grave.
Who the fuck is Smiling Cat?
Keep trying, you punk!
Was that Old Salty just now on the left?
Hey, all friends here are real. I got special supplies.
Well, now is not the time to hawk goods, woman.
You're a joke, Shen! You still here? Give it up, Shen!
Wait, where did he go? Oh.
Let's see if a dead guy can take a punch.
More Jiangxi
Nice costume.
and another hostage, I guess. But yeah, you may have noticed, by the way, that the Gongshi... I should really stick to one pronunciation. The Jiangshi keep trying to bite Wei Shen's neck. I suppose that's because they are kind of vampires, but not really. Come on. Get up.
Have you seen others?
There's a big one. They call him Smiley something. He was giving them instructions.
Did he have a girl with him?
Yes, he went that way.
Alright. Well, you may have noticed that there's this little thing that pops up when you start fighting the Jiangshi.
Limited time offer.
I'll take some, thanks.
Here.
This being DLC, by the way, it doesn't keep track of your main game stats. So you don't have any face, and you only get the third of a regeneration thing to start off with here. You also don't get all of your combat moves to begin with.
Persistent, are you? Well, give it up. Whatever you think you are.
We'll see about that.
Don't be loud. Kill him. Execute him. Do you know who I am?
Some clown named Smiley. Now give me back the girl.
Nobody calls me that and lives. My name is Big Scar, you punk! You piece of shit! The sun on ye make me a hungry ghost. Now, you are going to pay! The streets belong to...
Let her go.
I don't think so, Wei Shen. I heard you were stupid, but I didn't realize how much the boys were downplaying it. Don't mind us. We have somewhere to be, but you keep going. You're probably used to playing with yourself by now.
Fuck.
Hey man, just because Sleeping Dogs isn't a multiplayer game... First mission is Big Trouble. No real surprise.
Hello.
What the fuck? Come on, woman. Just because you're possessed by evil ghosts.
Okay.
But yeah, they want me to go to the Golden Koi. This being the night market, I can just walk on over. But you may have noticed that, yeah, a bunch of the pedestrians have glowing eyes. Like, most of them, in fact. That is because they are possessed by evil spirits. And the only cure for that is death. Like, seriously, that is revealed in one of the reports for this DLC. See? You even get stats. Torment ended. And that's for killing the normal ones. Yep, Jiangshi. Yeah, fortunately they aren't all aggressive, but you are free to just attack them without any sort of penalty, and there's no cops at all, ever, in this DLC. You will never get in trouble with the law while the dead walk the earth. They've kind of got bigger problems, and besides, you're only destroying the dead or those possessed by them. So, you know, that's fair enough. Also, they call this Nightmare in North Point because you are stuck in North Point.
Where is everyone?
You don't go to the other 3 areas at all in the game. In the DLC.
Highway.
Vincent? I thought you were dead.
I am dead. And it's a drag, let me tell you. I've been craving noodles for I don't know how long. By the way, I think you've got a problem out back.
What the hell is going on?
I don't know. One minute I'm down there, the next I'm up here. So I thought, what the hell? Might as well grab some soup. You guys could leave an offering for a brother now and then, you know? Check out back.
Vincent is the one who died to the organ harvester case. Just for reference.
There's something out there. I'm not going out there.
Yeah, well, fair enough.
Holy shit!
Who the hell are you? Let me out of here, you triad piece of shit. I have better things to do than waste my time killing you.
Who's keeping you here?
What's it saying? It's talking English, fool.
What a joke!
Why would a Chinese demon speak in English?
You think you can beat up a demon?
I don't know, but if someone's gonna try it, I'd rather it was him.
We gotta get out of here.
Wait, I win.
He's gonna lose, and then that thing is gonna
Can't you do better than that?
God damn.
Yeah, this is not going well.
Hey, kid! What are you doing? Get out of there! You can't kill him, wait! Get out! Get out! Get on the roof now!
Don't need to convince me.
That guy is tough as hell.
Dead people are like that. He's supernatural, way. 僵屍啊嘛，係真係啊。Now you're gonna need Chinese magic to beat him. Go see Ho Fa Wu. He's got the best magic tea in the city.
Oh, are you shitting me?
You just try to punch out an undead creature, huh? And you think I'm kidding? Teasing.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, Wait, should I be taking this car?
What the hell?
I'm a ghost. I can pretty much show up anywhere.
You know what's going on?
Sure. Smiley Cat is trying to take over. He's been talking about it down there since I got killed.
Okay, who the fuck is Smiley Cat?
I think he used to be in the Sun on Yi. From what I can tell, Uncle Po had him whacked. Seems like he was out of control even when he was alive. Last I heard of it, he was going to enslave the 18K somehow, then use them to take over our territory.
Son of a bitch.
Huh.
Help me!
Oh, another hostage situation. I guess the Zhengxi must have heard about his awesome tea. But yeah, I was saying this before, but unsatisfied hunger triggers whenever you're fighting the Zhengxi. Oh yeah. Because they want to bite your neck and drink your blood. So long as they don't, the timer keeps running.
You need some magic? I got 2 for 1 sale today.
Changxi are overrunning the city.
No kidding. I'm Hao Fat Lao, not Hao Blind Lao. You want to defeat them, you're going to need my specialty. I need 3 ingredients. Ghost pepper, the egg of an albino hen, and antifreeze. The good stuff, not that crap they sell on the mainland. Be careful, Wei. The 18K are looking for this stuff too. I hear they're trying to make the tea themselves.
Antifreeze, huh? Always gotta be antifreeze.
You hear how Smiley Cat got his nickname?
Isn't it a cat food?
Yeah. When he was alive, his street name was Big Scar Wu. Ponytail and a couple of the other guys killed him on Uncle Po's orders. They hit him with a car, then knifed him 42 times. They chopped up the body and put it through the grinder at the Smiley Cat processing plant. So Big Scar Wu ended up feeding house pets all over town. Ponytail didn't even put him into the high-protein mix. So a lot of the cats just barbed him up afterwards. One of the enforcers who killed him got off the week later, and when he arrived down there, he told the story. So now everyone calls Wu Smiley Cat. That could be worse. They could have ground him up into fertilizer.
You know, I don't suppose it helps that all of his tattoos appear to be cat-themed. I mean, he does indeed have that giant-ass scar down the middle of his chest. Looks like some sort of botched operation. But yeah, with a mask and with all of the tattoos, Smiley Cat comes easy to that guy, I think. Not just the story, but also the physical themes. Alright, need to get up there somehow. I don't think I can jump up to that railing. So how do I get up there? Just follow this around. Wait, can I? No? Oh! Like, apparently that works. Okay, so let's just jump the railing a couple times here and get to the ghost pepper. Did they think I would come in from a different angle?
Hey, leave my pepper alone.
No. Oh. Well, yeah, one Jiangxi is not going to be stopping Wei Shen. Alright, well that was easy enough to do, so I just need to run back over to where I parked. Who's honking out there? The dead walk the earth, come on.
Sorry, shop closed. I need the egg of an albino hen. Right away.
You wanna fight Chiang Shi? Okay, tell you what. See those kids? Punks keep tagging my storefront. Teach them a lesson, and the egg is yours.
That seems unnecessarily petty, considering what's going on here.
What do you want? Fuck off, old man! Don't waste our time. You want trouble? Cause we can give it to you.
Man, if you thought you could stop Wei Shen on a night like this... Hell no.
Good work. Here's your egg. Make sure your brewmaster knows what he's doing. It can be dangerous if he doesn't treat it right.
I don't think an egg from any hen would be all that dangerous. Come on, we can do better.
Damn it, Vincent! You gotta stop appearing like that.
Sorry, Wei.
You scared the shit out of me.
I said I was sorry. It's hard being dead, man. People didn't like me much when I was alive. But this is so much worse. Nobody lighting candles for me. Nobody making offerings. Never used to take that shit seriously. Turns out, it matters, man. It really matters.
Alright, I'm sorry, okay?
Yeah, it's not your fault. Hell, you're the first live person I've talked to who didn't run away screaming.
Yeah, well, I'm in a car. Nowhere for me to go, is it?
Yeah, that's right. You were always a smart one, Wei. I'm gonna use that one from now on. Cars. Places people got nowhere to run. That's great, man.
That's not really what I meant.
No. It's great. It's great.
Go figure I changed channels and it's all goddamn commercials.
What's 18K doing?
Leave that stuff!
Yeah, well, I need it too. It's not that little... Like, you can find antifreeze. You don't really need to worry about bogarting it here. But yeah, interesting note here. Something else that works against Jiangxi: cars. Cars work against Jiangxi. There, see? That takes care of all of them. I mean, I didn't really get to use the engine block environmental again. But, you know, still, well, running over all of your enemies and there's nothing they can do about it, that's its own reward, you know?
You want a chocolate bar or something? You seen that pork bun guy around?
Oh, is that all? Is this the same apothecary from before? Seems conveniently close.
Excellent. I'll get the egg into the goat dung right away. And I have the moldy rat's blood waiting for the pepper. Give me a second to get the antifreeze ready.
You trying to poison me?
Idiot. Most Chinese magic based on antifreeze. Trust me, this will work. Jiangxi will be at your mercy. If you think maybe you're going blind, see a doctor. But only after defeating Jiangxi.
Oh shit. I got a face meter power up now. Only it's obviously it's not the face meter, but it's the equivalent. That is why there is no face when the dead walk the earth.
Anyway, you got any noodles? I could really go for some noodles.
I'm in a car, man. Come on. But by the way, like I was saying earlier, this is entirely confined to North Point. If you try and leave North Point, the game will warn you that you're leaving behind your responsibilities and etc. It's basically like an edge of the map sort of thing. And by the way, I'm looking through the restaurant.
You get the tea? I got it. You sure to work?
How can you even mask that? Whole Fight is the best in the business.
Yeah, well, if I go blind, I'm blaming you.
I was looking through the restaurant, by the way, because I've heard that certain individuals show up in it.
I've killed worse things than you.
Honestly, no, you really haven't. Yao Guai. That's the kind of demon it is. But yeah, it's actually pretty easy to, okay, now I can go after the Yao Guai. Oh, damn it. Normally they're supposed to stand still when you're facing the demon. Come on. Wasn't even aiming for you. But yeah, it's actually pretty easy to not get bitten by the Jiangxi because, well, the neck-biting attacks are really long and give you plenty of time to counter them. Okay, here we go. There, see, you notice how they've sort of gone, at least for a moment there, they all just sort of went quiet when I went into face mode. That's what I was talking about. Oh, yep. And that's what happens when they bite you. Wonder how I missed that one. Oh, two at once. And, oh yeah, when you're in the face mode, that's the way you take down Jiangxi. And you got knocked out of the area somehow. Yeah, I had to restart the checkpoint because he was stuck behind the wall there. Oh, and now the gate's open, of course. Yep, hungry ghosts. Alright, we've got somewhere new to go, and you know, I'm still not seeing those certain someones who show up in the restaurant here. No. I mean, they would disappear when I get close enough. That's something else I heard about it. But I guess I'll just check later. At the end of the DLC. Oh, hey. Peachwood sword. Oh, jeez. Uh-oh. Yep. Important note about Peachwood swords. You can always go after the Yao Guai if you've got one of these handy. They do break like normal weapons, though. Well, that's weird. There's normally somebody in that parking lot. That car park. But yeah, before we head on to the next mission, I'd say it's time that... Oh, hello. Nice and easy. Well, what's this here? Hell Shrine. Put some money in the Hell Shrine and... Yep, right there at the top. Alright, so let's regroup at our apartment here. Huh. So it's got the nice bed, but it doesn't have any of the other additions I bought. No bird, no air conditioner, no stereo. Nice bed, though. And they do also have some outfits, including a couple from the other DLC, oddly enough. No, wait. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. Ooh. Nice, nice. I mean, you know, if you have to deal with the end of the world, you might as well dress to the nines doing it. Jiangxi Cap, that's the reward for this DLC, actually. Yeah. Get some nice sunglasses. Get a good watch. Alright. I am now ready to take on the undead. In high fashion. So, I don't know what you were expecting from a Sleeping Dogs DLC, but I imagine most of you weren't expecting a Jiangxi invasion. Well, that's what we got. And so to complement the DLC's choice, I've picked out an equally supernatural and unexpected movie, Big Trouble in Little China, a John Carpenter film released in 1986. The story about the story. Let me start with a few words about the director, even though John Carpenter wasn't the film's creator in this case. Carpenter's career essentially began in 1970, because that was the year he helped write, edit, and compose for a short film titled The Resurrection of Bronco Billy. He was just a film student at the time, but the film earned an Academy Award, and so he got quite a bit of attention from it. Carpenter's big directorial debut was another low-budget film called Dark Star, released in 1974. And in 1976, he directed Assault on Precinct 13, a movie that would go on to be his first major cult classic. The first of many, as it would turn out. Most of the films we know John Carpenter for today were unappreciated and underperformed when they first came out in first-run theaters. There were a few notable exceptions like Halloween, Escape from New York, and Starman, but movies like The Thing, They Live, Christine, and Big Trouble in Little China did not do well in theaters. Big Trouble started out as a freshman script written by Gary Goldman and David Z. Weinstein, the first script either of them had ever sold. Goldman would go on to work on the script for Total Recall, but the Big Trouble script was widely considered unreadable, and the only reason the studio bought it was because of the original idea. It took place in the Wild West and featured a lot of Chinese mysticism. So to fix the script, the studio, 20th Century Fox, brought in W.D. Richter, a well-known sci-fi script doctor who adapted Invasion of the Body Snatchers and directed The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. It was Richter's idea to change the setting to the present, and he changed just about everything else except Lopan's backstory. Carpenter made a few edits of his own, and the movie went into production. In fact, the movie hurried into production, because Fox and Carpenter found out that Paramount was making an Eddie Murphy vehicle called The Golden Child, which was also full of Chinese mysticism. Now, it's likely that both screenplays were inspired by grindhouse kung fu movies, but Carpenter didn't want people to think of his film as a copycat, and so they rushed through the shooting schedule so they could release it as a summer movie, before Golden Child's December release. Unfortunately, 1986 was the summer of James Cameron's Aliens, and that may have been responsible for Big Trouble getting overlooked. I mean, it certainly wasn't the casting. Kurt Russell wasn't Carpenter's first choice to play the lead, Jack Burton, but the two had worked together several times already for Escape from New York and The Thing. Jack's friend and the movie's real protagonist, Wang Chi, was played by Dennis Dun, Chinese-American who's had major roles in films like Year of the Dragon, The Last Emperor, and Carpenter's later film, Prince of Darkness. Jack's love interest, Gracie Law, went to Kim Cattrall, who had roles in Porky's and Police Academy, and would be one of the 4 leads in Sex and the City. And as for the villain, Lo Pan, he was played by none other than James Hong, one of the most prolific and recognizable Chinese-American actors of all time, who has acted in films like Chinatown, Airplane, The Golden Child, go figure, Ninja 3, Mulan, Kung Fu Panda, and this very video game. But for one reason or another, Big Trouble in Little China only brought in $11.1 million on a budget of at least $19 million. The film went over budget thanks to the hurried production, and it's hard to say by how much. And meanwhile, The Golden Child made over $80 million on a $25 million budget. And Eddie Murphy himself has said that the film was a piece of crap. Life's not fair, but let's not grouse about it. Instead, let's discuss the story. The movie begins with Jack Burton being the kind of asshole trucker who never shuts up on the CB radio so that other truckers can use it. Plus, he mostly just blusters and talks with his mouth full. Jack drives into the crammed markets of San Francisco's Chinatown, delivering live pigs to waiting merchants. His job done, he immediately uses his paycheck to start gambling with the locals. Jack ends up winning, and so when the sun comes up, the only player left, Wang Chi, bets double or nothing that he can cut a glass bottle in half with his giant knife. So Jack puts up the $1,000 he won, and Wang completely fails to deliver. Of course, he doesn't have $2,000 on him, but he does own a restaurant, and so he can make good on his bet. But Jack isn't about to let $2,000 out of his sight, so when Wang insists on going to the airport first, he gives him a lift. Wang is going to the airport to meet his girlfriend, Miao Yin, who just came over from Peking. And let me remind you that Peking is the old way of Romanizing Beijing. Wang has been in America for 5 years, and somehow has a flawless American accent, and he's been working hard so he can bring Miao over and marry her. Jack is mostly disinterested by all of this, but then he spots Kim Cattrall's character waiting for someone at the terminal. So he saunters over and tries picking her up, but before she can completely shoot him down, some tough guys push past them, and tense music begins. As it turns out, Kim's character, Gracie Law, and the tough guys are here for the same person, Tara. So Jack interferes, but the toughs easily knock him down since, again, Jack is all bluster. They then grab Miao as a hostage, so Jack and Wang run after them as the toughs follow Gracie and Tara to the parking garage. But the two women escape in an orange van, and the toughs take Miao away in a sports car. Jack and Wang return to the truck, where Wang says that he has no idea why the toughs kidnapped Miao, although he did make a big deal about her having green eyes back at the airport. The two drive straight to the toughs' hangout. It turns out they're from a town called the Lords of Death. They drive into an alley that's barely big enough for Jack's semi, and they encounter an old-fashioned funeral procession held by the Chang Sing Tong. Jack is about to back out, but then the Wing Kongs arrive, dressed in black and red, to pick a fight with the Chang Sings. Everyone starts fighting, completely ignoring Jack and Wang, by the way, and after they all run out of bullets, they start using fists and melee weapons. The film really helps drive home Jack's outsider status by having this fight happen with almost zero context. Then things get even more crazy, because a guy in a giant wicker hat jumps out of a flash of green smoke, and his two buddies in equally ludicrous hats jump down from the sky. Bullets don't work on them, and once they pull out some crazy weapons, Jack guns the engine. The three crazy guys get out of the way, but then he runs over an old guy in a Chinese nobleman's outfit. Wong calls the man Lo Pan. When Jack gets out of the truck, Lo Pan looks just fine. Aside from the glowing eyes, I mean. Wong and Jack run from Lo Pan on foot. They duck into an abandoned building where Chang Xing is hiding out, and he tells them that the guys with the crazy hats and lightning powers are the three storms: rain, thunder, and lightning. The two then retreat to Wong's restaurant, Dragon of the Black Pool. At the restaurant, Jack calls his truck insurer, as Wong speaks to his Uncle Chu and a guy in a sleazy suit named Eddie Lee. Eddie offers some context for the fight. Lo Pan runs the Wing Kongs and the Lords of Death, and he's been trying to get rid of the Chang Xings. Then Gracie Law shows up. Turns out she's a lawyer and a Chinese rights advocate, although the Chinese Americans treat her as an unwanted busybody. But she's here to apologize for her part in Miao's kidnapping, and to say that Miao is at the White Tiger, where she's sure to be put on auction soon. So, Wong, Gracie, and Jack head to the White Tiger and send Jack in since he's white and nobody will recognize him. Once inside, Jack arranges a visit with a girl, not Miao, but before he can get busy or beg off, a giant ball of green energy causes the whole building to shake. The three storms zap in through the ceiling, and while Jack tries to stop them, they abduct Miao and leave as quickly as they came. Everyone regroups at Gracie's apartment. At this point, Wong mentions that the three storms also work for David Lo Pan, and Lo Pan happens to be both a ghost and the very real chairman of the National Orient Bank, and he's the underground godfather of Chinatown. But Wong doesn't care about that. He's going to the Wing Kong Exchange, the import-export business that sponsors the Evil Tong, to get his fiancée back. Jack goes with him, but the rest return to the restaurant to seek the help of Egg Shen, an old Chinese sorcerer and tour bus driver. The two talk their way past the front desk by pretending to be from the phone company, by carrying a phone. They spot tracks leading to a false door and use a hidden elevator to go to a secret basement floor. Well, until it stops moving. Meanwhile, Egg Shen is explaining that Lo Pan has such unbalanced chi that he's now more of a demon than a man. Back with Wong and Jack, the elevator floods, and they make their way into a chamber full of rotting corpses, the hell of upside-down sinners. One of the storms, rain, then collects them, softens them up a bit, and delivers them to a room full of Buddha statues. This is Lo Pan's office, and it turns out that his physical body is an ancient old man in an electric wheelchair. The reason Lo Pan is speaking to these two instead of just shooting them is because he's interested in Miao Yin. A Chinese woman with green eyes is rare, supernaturally rare, and he wants to know more about her. See, he needs a woman with dragon green eyes to appease Qing Dai, god of the East, if he wants to get his youth back. And the East is indeed represented by an azure dragon in Chinese mythology. Well, azure is more blue than green, but, whatever. Apparently Lo Pan has been trying to find a woman he can sacrifice for the past 2,000 years, but none of them have been able to pass the test. Meanwhile, Gracie, Eddie, and a reporter named Margot are making a stink at the front desk, and so Lo Pan trundles off to deal with them. Thunder, with his hat off, invites the three on a tour of the building, only to gas them in the freight elevator. Meanwhile, Lo Pan's men stick Wang and Jack in a steel room, and while they get free of their bindings, they can't get through the door. At this point, Wang mentions that Lo Pan was supposedly cursed to be a feeble old man in 272 BC by the first emperor of China. The two then ambush Thunder when he drops off Eddie, and while it doesn't go well, they at least get out of the room and knock out a couple of thugs so that they can arm themselves. Eddie doesn't know where Miao is being kept, but he did see where the other two women were sent, and so all three of them go to the cages to set them free. The guards of the cages are all women, probably so they don't mishandle the merchandise. But that doesn't stop the two Chinese guys from having a kung fu fight with them, while Jack sneaks past and shoots the locks off all the cages. Once the female guards are defeated, the whole group jump into a pool of water and make their escape through some water-filled tunnels. Jack and Gracie share a kiss on the way up, but Gracie isn't impressed. When they're near the surface, they encounter a bunch of goons. While Jack fires a few rounds from his machine pistol, he's mostly useless, while Wong kicks all of their asses. After that, they escape to Egg Shen's bus, but Meow is still missing, and Gracie got abducted near the door by a hairy monster. I should probably mention at this point that Gracie also has green eyes. Wong and Jack prepare for their next raid on Wing Kong, and this time Egg Shen and some armed Chang Sing are coming with them. They go to Egg's place to use some underground tunnels to reach Lo Pan, tunnels that seem to be semi-mystical in nature. Meanwhile, Lo Pan uses magic to entrance both women, and the three storms put them through the test. Both pass, and so Lo Pan decides to marry them both. One he'll sacrifice to Qing Dai, and one he'll keep for himself. Wong, Jack, and Egg make it into Wing Kong, and Egg pulls out a gourd with some magic potion in it that'll let them match Lo Pan and his men. Lo Pan taunts Egg remotely for a little bit, and then they find Lo Pan's secret elevator. They reach the wedding chamber in the middle of the ceremony, but they wait for it to finish so that Lo Pan will be completely flesh and blood, and thus mortal. And once he is, the fighting begins. And Jack shoots the ceiling, knocking himself out with rubble. Fortunately, he recovers fast enough to not really have much of an impact on the fight. Wong faces off against Rain, which is a pretty cool fight with wire fu and everything, but Jack just gets stuck under the one guard he managed to kill. As for Egg, he goes up against Lo Pan directly, and the two use magic to summon mystical warriors to fight on their behalf. The big melee ends with Rain getting stabbed, and Lo Pan takes Meow and retreats with the other two storms. Wong chases after them, but Jack takes Gracie back up to Lo Pan's office, and this time they share a better kiss. But it turns out Lo Pan was also retreating to his office, so everyone meets back up. Wong and Thunder fight. While Jack misses when he throws his knife at Lo Pan, he gets a second chance, and then doesn't miss, surprising everyone. When Thunder sees his dead master, he inflates until he explodes. Lightning then tries to stop them from escaping, but he takes so long to pose that everyone gets away. And when he chases after them, Egg drops a stone Buddha on his head. They discover Jack's missing truck on the way out, and so they use it to make their getaway. Everyone heads back to the restaurant to celebrate. Egg Shen heads out for a much-needed vacation, and Wong gives Jack triple their original bet in appreciation. Gracie and Jack decide not to pursue things further, and the movie ends the way it began, with Jack dicking around on his CB radio. Oh, and then there's a stinger, with a hairy monster that nobody actually fought. The style. Much like Europe and every other part of the world, China has its own unique brand of magic and mysticism. Traditional Chinese magic borrows elements from Taoism, Buddhism, and a kind of ancestor veneration. And while it would take too long to go over every aspect of Chinese sorcery, I figure I can at least explain a few of its concepts here. First of all, I should probably say a few words about Jiangshi, since they show up so often in Nightmare in North Point. The Jiangshi are sometimes called the Chinese hopping vampires, since they bear some similarities to the Western vampire concept. They're animated corpses, they only come out at night, they sleep in their coffins during the day, and they survive by stealing the life essence or qi of their victims. Qi isn't the same thing as blood, but it's a similar idea. The reason Jiangshi hop around is because they're extremely stiff, which probably has something to do with rigor mortis, even though rigor mortis wears off over time. There are also several ways to deal with the Jiangshi, a few of which we have and will see during the DLC. Fire works fine, and so does an axe. The wood of a peach tree is hazardous to Jiangxi, since the world tree was supposedly a peach tree, and the gods created elixirs of immortality from the fruits. Eternal life is deadly to the undead, after all. Taoist talismans slapped on the forehead work well, and if you drop a bag of coins at their feet, the Jiangxi will be compelled to count them, sort of like Western vampires and bags of rice. But let's move on to some more general concepts. In China, they have a word that you can translate to shaman, spirit medium, or sorcerer: Wu. The Wu dealt with the spirits of ancestors, gods, and other supernatural issues, and often their roles overlapped with the Yi, doctors who used Chinese traditional medicine to try and prevent, treat, and cure diseases. There was a lot of overlap back in the day, since the prevailing thought was that malicious spirits caused diseases. And to be fair, most cultures came to that conclusion before we figured out the truth. But the Wu and the Yi are more of an ancient tradition, more like British druids than medieval hermetic wizards. Taoist sorcerers would be a closer approximation to hermetic magic and alchemy, especially in the way that both traditions would connect just about everything to everything else. Feng Shui, which puts a lot of emphasis on the cardinal directions, is strongly influenced by Taoist beliefs. And meanwhile, in European traditions, you had elemental metals connected to planets and symbols. That's why we call a certain liquid metal mercury. Taoism itself is more like what you would call a philosophy rather than a true religion. Its originators were philosophers and are respected as such, and the Tao itself is more of a concept than a divinity. That said, it is compatible with theistic belief systems, including the traditional gods of China. Teachers of Taoism are often called priests, but that's plainly a poor translation. Taoism is closely affiliated with Chinese mysticism, plus each practitioner has his or her own unique take on the philosophy, so there's a lot of variation in approaches and rituals. For instance, you can find out a lot about Taoist white and black magic in America, but most of that comes from Vietnamese and Hmong immigrants who came to America following the Vietnam War. There's a big shift in beliefs between North and South Chinese Taoists, and that shift continues as you move on into Southeast Asia. Like I said at the top of this segment, Chinese mysticism is too big a topic to describe in detail in just a few minutes. So thanks for joining me again for today's film review, and I hope I'll see you next time for an early Tsui Hark film that pushed the boundaries of Hong Kong special effects.